I'm going to show you how to make the jar toppers by Golden Needle Designs. It's at www.goldenneedledesigns.com. Most of the pieces are made in the hoop, and we begin by hooping a piece of tearaway stabilizer and a piece of felt. The one we're making today is the Mrs. Claus jar topper, and the first color sewn on it is an outline for an applique, and it's for the hair, so we're going to put white felt on top of the outline before we sew the second color. After that color is sewn, we're going to remove the hoop, and I'm going to cut away the excess felt from around the outside edges, and I'm just using my little embroidery scissors to do this. Then I continue sewing the rest of the design. I don't sew all of the design, I sew all but the last color. Before sewing the last color, I place another piece of felt, of white felt, on top, and then I sew the last color. The last color is the outside seam of the design. After the design is sewn, I remove the hoop from the machine and I cut any threads on the back. And then I remove the design from the hoop and I tear away the stabilizer on the back anywhere that I can, even on the inside of the sewn area. Now I've cut the design out, and I'm going to turn the design right side out. There's a small opening, which I can do this. And I simply turn the piece right side out, and then I'm going to stuff it with polyester fiber fill stuffing. Sometimes I use my little embroidery scissors to push out areas that are really small, like her ears and her chin. Now I'm putting the stuffing in, and I'm going to stuff it fairly tight. Now I'm going to sew the opening closed using a simple whip stitch, and I like to turn the edges in just a little bit when I'm sewing it closed. Now I have the head sewn, and I'm going to use a pink crayon and a blue crayon, and I'm going to add just a little bit of color right above the eyes and on her cheeks. I've cut a piece of fabric that's 9.5 inches by 18 inches, and I'm folding it in half with the sides, the right sides together. The sides I'm going to be pinning are the 9.5 inch long sides, and I'm just going to pin down the side, and then I'll sew it using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. To hem the bottom, turn the fabric over 1/4 inch, and then turn it over 1/4 inch again, and then we'll pin this and also along this bottom edge to make the hem. I'm using a needle and thread to sew along the top edge, and the piece is turned wrong side out, and also all around this top edge, and then about 1/2 inch away from the cut edge, and then I will pull it tight to gather it and tie it off and cut the thread. Then I will turn it right side out and put it on top of the jar. Okay, I have the fabric piece put on the jar, and I've got all my other pieces done. The head and the arms are finished, and I've got the apron cut out, and I've also got pieces of ribbon, 2 pieces that are about 10 inches long, and 1 piece that is about 5 inches long that will go around the neck. And I'm going to use the hot glue gun, and I'm going to glue her head on first. Make sure to get it centered when you glue it on. Now I'm going to glue the apron on to the front, and I will make sure it's centered. I'm going to glue the ribbon onto the apron. I'll start with the neck strap first, and I'll glue it onto the back side of the top of the apron. You could actually do this first if you wanted to. Then we'll glue the ties for her apron onto the back of the sides of the apron. When I'm done gluing these on, I'll tie the ties in the back. I'm ready to glue on her arms now, and I'll just glue them onto the sides. I'll put a little bit of glue on the hands too and just glue that to the apron. I hope you have fun making this jar topper. Don't forget to visit us at www.goldenneedledesigns.com.